Hello Suits, this is a tutorial to hopefully help you guys make pixel arts in your survival worlds. This is not how I traditionally make my pixel arts, but if you ever plan on making pixel art yourself and you want to make it in your survival worlds, this is the best way to do it. It involves a program that can take an image and basically turn it into Minecraft blocks. But before we get into that, I want to first show you this website. This is the map item format, and the beginning part's not that important, but as you scroll down, you'll see these are all the different colors that you can get on a map. And this is very important because when you're doing your pixel arts, you can see what blocks create what types of colors. So you can see like this one's a really common color with all those different types of blocks. You got water with that color, and all of them are here. If we scroll down further, there's a section here called Map Pixel Art, which you might want to give it a quick read through. It will be beneficial for when you actually start building it, or to give you an idea of what you're looking for. This is a really cool image. This is Redstonehelper. He's the one that made the program to make this tutorial possible, and he used it to create this train image, which is really cool. So if we continue scrolling down, you'll see color tables. Most likely you'll be using like the newest one, which will be the top one, and this will give you a list of all the different colors. Now keep in mind, when you read through this, you cannot get the fourth shade in game mode. You have to use an external tool. So all the fourth shade of all these you cannot get when making your pixel arts in survival. And another thing to keep in mind is just because it gives like a specific list of blocks here, it doesn't mean these are the only ones that can make these colors. So for this color, it's got a pretty good list. But if you scroll up here, it will give you a list of all the blocks that can make that color. So you're not limited to just these here. The next site that is in the description that we'll be going to is a Reddit page, and this is where Redstonehelper actually posted the tool to make this possible. See, I made this tool to help create map art in survival. And I find this really cool because I talked to him about this, and he was actually inspired to make this tool based on my pixel art, specifically my Tetris one, which was like years ago. You can give this a read through. It probably won't mean much until you actually start getting into the program. So I'm just going to tell you straight up, the first download you want is right here on the very top. So when you get into here, you go into download binaries, and all you do is wait. After this is done downloading, you can basically, it will download itself. So there it is. You can cancel out of that. Cancel out of that. There we go. And if we scroll down here, we got this bottom one here, download. This is his program that he made. So it'll take you to a mega site. And you can just download through browser because it's a really small file. One thing to keep in mind, if you're trying to download this on Safari, it will not work properly. For some reason, only certain web browsers like Chrome or Firefox works with this site. So once it's downloaded, you may get this message here. You want to keep it. I know it's safe. I've been using it for years, and my computer hasn't died yet. So, yep, that's all you really need from here. And I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to drag these two files out. I'm just going to put them on my desktop. I'm going to do everything on my desktop. You can do it on your desktop too. With the way that I'm setting this up, you can create it anywhere and then move it to any folder you want to, and it won't mess with anything. But first thing we want to do is take this and we want to unzip it. For Mac, this is just fine. For Windows, you can do, Windows Explorer to extract it, or WinWare. There's a lot of different applications that PC computers use. So when you go into there, you need to drag this jar folder out. That's what you're looking for. And these are like license and README if you want to get to know that stuff. So we don't need the zip or the folder. We just need the jar. So there's our two files. I'm going to create a folder, map art tutorial, tutorial, I can spell, and I'm going to drag those in there. So this is the beginning of the program. There is no like GUI system for this. You have to run these with commands. This is when it starts getting tricky because Mac and Windows are a little different. So I'm going to try to do them both at the same time. Hopefully it doesn't get too confusing as I go back and forth. I'll try to make it as easy as possible. So for Mac, what you want to do is that you want to go into your search bar and you want to type in text edit. So I have mine right there. The application will pop up. Double click on that and you will get your window. Now with this program, there's a couple of things you need to check before you jump into it. An example is if you do a dash dash and it combines those dashes together, that is not good, especially in the future when you want to change your settings. So for now on, you want to close this. You want to go, don't save it. You want to go into your text edit preferences, and you want to change some of your settings here. You want to make sure that you're on plain text. That's very important. And you want to check off smart dashes, because that's what the dashing was doing. You can match your settings to mine. It doesn't really matter. I believe those are the two most important things that you need to do. But for programming, like, well, we want to take smart copy paste off. And that's the important stuff. Now you want to make a new one. If you change the settings with the other file that was open, it would just keep the old settings. So you have to create a new one after you change your preferences. If you are on PC, you want to go to your search and you want to look up Notepad. And with Notepad, it's already set up for programming. You don't have to do anything or change any settings. You're good to go. Simple as that. Right, now that I have my file and it's ready to go, if you look into the description of the video, you will find some information. You will find a help command and you will find a run command. So for this first one, we're just going to do a help command to make sure everything works properly. So you want to copy and paste that into your text editor or your Notepad, and you just want to save this. If you're on text editor, you want to save it. It doesn't matter what you name it, but afterwards you want to save it as a command file. Make sure you check this off and make sure to hide your extension. Actually, it doesn't matter if you hide it. It just makes it cleaner. My stuff's on the desktop, so I'm just going to go into it. Where is it? Map art tutorial. It's in there. Good to go. All right, so if I look into it, there it is. If you're on Windows and you are saving this file, you want to save it as a bat file, B-A-T. So you'll type in like help.bat, and this will save it as a bash file, which can be ran through the terminal. So now that we have this done, this basically runs a command through a terminal, and the terminal is like how you talk to the computer. So this basically says the location I want is this folder that this file's in, and then this command here runs the jar file map converter, and it types in the command help, and it brings up the help information. So if we double click on this, it may give you this pop-up. It may not for you. I only recently had this problem with my files, and I do know a way around it. So for some reason, it doesn't give you permission for new files that you make. So what you need to do is you need to go into your search and you need to search terminal. Terminal. And you want to open that up, right? Double click on that. And now you got this terminal thing. This is how you talk to the computer directly. You need to basically give this file permission to run and communicate with your computer. So you need to type in chmod space u+x space, and then you want to drag the file in there. So what this does is that it gives permission to this file, this help command file, to run on your computer. So if I type enter and nothing and it just goes enter, that means it worked. So now if you double click on your help, it will run. So if you're on Windows, if you double click on it, you may have a problem where a window will pop up and it will close very quickly. Now what's happening is when you run through the terminal, it will automatically close the terminal right after it's done running. What you need to do is in your folder, you need to hold shift and right click on an empty space. And on the bottom half, there is a setting called open window command here. And what that will do is it will bring up a terminal for you. And what you want to do is take your help file and drag that into the terminal. And what this will do is when you push enter, it will run it and it will not close. So now you'll have all the information there without it closing on you right away. This doesn't mean much now. I'll explain it when we get there. But for now, you want to keep this window open. So now that you have the help working properly, you want to take it and copy and paste it. But yeah, once you get there, you want to change the name to run or start or something to indicate that you're going to run the program. Once you get that, you want to right click on it, open with, and text edit. On Windows, you want to right click edit. So once you get that open, it's the same thing as the help command, but now we want to change some of the things to make it work properly. If you go into the description of the video, you can find the run command down there, and you can copy and paste that into our thing. Most of it's the same. It's just a couple of things afterwards that are different. So when we look at this, we have this directing the computer to this folder. We have this basically running the MapConverter.jar file. This is the image that we are wanting to convert. This is the name of the folder to export. And then anything afterwards are settings that we apply to our conversion. So if we go to the help, you can see all these are like different settings that we can apply afterwards, which is very useful. So right now we do not have an image yet, because we haven't pulled one up yet. You can get one that's any size, but for a map, you want it to be the size of 128 by 128 because that's the size of a map. So I'm going to open up the Chrome and I'm going to Google Zelda mask because I already have something in mind. I want to do the Zelda mask from Majora's Mask, right? I'm going to go to images and I'm going to go to tool and I'm going to go to size exactly. And I can type in 128 by 128, which is the Minecraft map size, right? I click go and every image that pops up is going to be perfect for our map. So I like this one right here. It's got nice colors, the black background. So I'm going to click on it. You do not want to drag it from here. You want to click on it so it loads into here. You can right click and save it into like your downloads or wherever you want to, or you can just like drag it off and put it wherever you want to. So we can just minimize that for now. I have my thing. I'm going to put it in my folder. So now that I have it in here, I want to change the name. I'm going to change it to image so that it matches the image folder here. Make sure it's a PNG file. That's important. You can also do a JPEG, but PNG is preferred for the program. So this file name here for your image is now in here. So one thing to keep in mind is if you have a space and then like something afterwards, you want to match it in here. So space, something afterwards, so that it matches up, right? Now that everything is good to go, I guess we can save it and run it. So when we run it, of converting it, it's finished already. If we go into the folder, you will see the test that we had here has exported here. If we go into the folder, we have PNG, which is all the colors that we have available, and then I believe that's the original image and then converted image. And I think they are both converted. So this is what it would look like on your map if you actually built this. If you go into here, you have your schematic, and this is what you would bring into Minecraft to actually have it like already pre-built for you, which is very cool and very helpful. So the idea is that you import this file into Minecraft and then use that as a reference while you're building. So now that we have it running and it's working properly, we can change some things. So if we go to the help and we have our run folder, the help gives us different options. So we've got grayscale, we've got nodither, and we've got force 2D. These are like the three I guess major changes that you can apply to it. So if I already had nodither applied to it, and basically that makes it like a little grainy so that if you're looking at far away, it matches the color better. But you can change this to grayscale, and I'm going to change it to test2. I'm going to save it, and now I'm going to go into the folder, run it, go through the process, and now if I go into the all grayscale. So and these are all the colors that you have available. So it's working properly. It gives us another different schematic for that option, right? We can close out of that. There's some Force 2D has it so that instead of doing like the staircase method, it does it where it's flat. So if we change this to Force 2D, we can save that, run it, and it'll do. And taste 2, so it saved it over the previous one, and now we have limited amount of colors, and you can see it's like grainy. You can see the dither that's applied to it, that like grainy fuzziness that gets put onto it. So yeah, it's just different ways that you can apply stuff to it. Everything down here are things, especially if you're in survival, you may want to add into your converting. So if I'm going to change this back to nodither. I don't want it grayscaled. I don't want it 2D. I want it 3D. So now it's all these parameters that I can put into. So I don't want lapis. I don't want emerald. I don't want to work with cobblestone or beds or TNT or brewing stands. No gold plates. And basically like anything that would be difficult in survival mode. So you just have to type it all in. So now with all those settings in, we can save it. I'm going to save this as a 3. And with that, I'm going to go back to my folder, run it, does this conversion, all finished. And now I go into 3, and now we have all this stuff without all those extra things in there. You can't really tell. You can tell in here like there's less colors than like test 1 when we originally had it. But ideally, like, this is really good for survival because you get rid of all those tricky blocks to get, like lapis and emerald. And if you add a file, you need to go into your run and you need to change the file name to the new thing. What you can do is if you have like different images that you're trying out, you can copy paste this and you can name this like run2, or I guess name it like run puppy, right? And we can open it into our editor and we can change this to, say you had a puppy file, right? So puppy PNG, change the file name to puppy, and then you can still have all these settings, whatever you want it in, whatever you want the settings. So we can save that, we can run the puppy. The only problem is we don't have a puppy file. Let me close that. So let me copy this down. I'm going to name this puppy real quick. I'm not going to take the time to look up a new image. And now we'll run puppy version. So you can have as many like runs as long as you have files that match them. So like in the preview, you want to make sure like, oh, this is the image view. This one is the puppy PNG. So make sure that stuff all works out. Here's the puppy one. It should look like a mask because I didn't actually get a puppy. But yeah, that all works properly. I'm going to close my terminal down since we have our conversions. If we remember, this first one was just the plain, I think it was just dither. The second one was flat. This one was nodither flat. And then the last one was without all the extra stuff that was added into it. So we can close that. Now we can save it. We can close all that. Everything is good to go. Now we need to get these schematic files into Minecraft. So the first thing we need to do is open up Minecraft, obviously. Welcome 1.11. Now you can date about what time this was based on what version of Minecraft I have. So that loads up. We need to create a new world. We're gonna go map art flat. Make sure we're in creative mode so we can fly around it. Cheats on. We don't want structures. We want super flat. Customize, make sure it's what you want. And create world. So once we create this world, we essentially, get a flat world. Hello, sun. So now that we're in here, we want to go into our items and search a map. When we get our map, we can right click it and look into it, right? So you want to go to a corner. You want to drop blocks until you find the exact corner that is. So I drop a block, I need to go way over more and down a little bit. Oops. So it looks like my bottom one is the corner. Yep, that's the very corner down there. So I can just place those there and I know like that's the exact corner. I'm not covering it up at all and we're good to go. Now that I have my corner marked, I can exit out of the game, and now we need to actually import the files into our world. So if you've never done anything like this before, where you're importing files or schematics into your worlds, this may be a little new to you. So you may need to look up tutorials on programs that can do this. I prefer to use mcedit. mcedit is a program that I've been using like since I started playing Minecraft, and I've never really had a problem with it. So if you decide to use mcedit, I guess this is a quick tutorial for it. I'm not going to give you like a full tutorial of how to do it. I just want to show you like what happens when you input these folder files, the schematic files, into Minecraft. So I'm loading into the world. We see we've got the world here, and you see we got the marker. So if you import into here, it automatically sends you to a default schematic area where you're supposed to put your schematic. You need to scroll up until you find your area where you're saving yourself. So like desktop, documents, downloads, wherever you put your files. Like you just go into there. I've got my desktop. I've got my art, pixel art. We've got puppy, test 1, 2, 3. So if I go to test 1, schematic, we need to change this to schematic. And there we go. This is the very first one that we did, which was, I believe, the nodither. So if I get that, if we get that close enough, we can nudge it. We can nudge it in. I believe right there is where we want it. Nope, I think I'm off a bit. Yeah, it's a little tricky. I'm too far down also. Nope, no. There we go. The very bottom, our glass is glass. Our glass is glass, so you want to make sure that's where you want to go. You want to make sure that's seeable. You want to make sure the corner is right up against the corner, and then when you import this, it should delete those stone blocks. Alright, so now this mask is now in our world. That was test 1. I'm going to continue importing these. I'm going to continue importing these so we can see like the differences that came out of them. So it saved to where we were, so we just go to test 2. We need to change the schematic again. This one was test 2. Open it. Maybe we can put this one in. Now, I can already see a problem with adding multiples at the same time, and that is as soon as I put this one in, it's going to delete a line from that one. I can already see that happening, which is definitely not what you want. But ideally, like when you do these map arts, you only want to use one map. But yeah, I'm going to import that. That one was the flat one, so that looks nice. And then I'm going to come over here. Even though it's not loaded, you can still import stuff into it. So test 3, schematic, open, and we're just going to plop you about there. Make sure you're lined up on the corner. Make sure you're higher, because it looks like you're kind of in the ground a bit. Nudge, nudge. One more up. Right? And one more forward. Okay, I think we got it. And that's the last one with all of our extra settings. So I'm going to import that. Make sure that you save it. See down here, edits are not saved, so Command S to save it. Takes a little bit because you've added, a bunch of stuff into it. And now you can close it. So now that that's done, you can go back into your Minecraft. You can go into your map art file, and there it is. It's all loaded. So I'm going to pull out 2 more maps. Oops. Because I want to compare like all the maps that we had. So this first one, let's get them side by side. Silly Adam. So this first one, it's looking really nice. It's looking beautiful. This one was the nodither like default setting, the code that I gave you. Or if you like copy and pasted from my thing, you can see like there's a couple of problems with this. Like here's some gold blocks that are on top of diamond blocks, which is definitely not ideal. Like you don't want to have to deal with diamond blocks. But in situations like this, you don't have to use diamond block. It's what the block is above it. Like that's what's important. If you're dealing with stuff like cobwebs or brewing stands, like it'll do the same thing. We'll put on top of diamond blocks, even though you don't have to use a diamond block. See right there's a brewing stand over there. But yeah, this is just the default what the program does. And it looks pretty nice. Looks pretty cool. The next one over here is the flat one. So you can see the cobwebs down there. You can see like there's definitely a lot of lost detail for the flat one. It still looks decent. There's I believe there was dither on this one, so that's why it looks really pixelated instead of like smooth. And if we go to the last one, this one was without all the extra stuff. So if I scroll through them, you can see this is the first one, this is the last one. For the most part, it's pretty much the same detail, but now you don't have to worry about dealing with the annoying stuff like the gold pressure plates, cobwebs, especially in your survival. You don't want to deal with cobwebs or beds or lapis blocks or like any of that type of stuff. It's such a pain. And then like comparing it to the flat one, like yeah, you still got a good amount of detail, but with that dither, it just looks like a mess. So it may be a good idea if you do flat to turn the dither off, or it's just going to look really weird. So now that we have our pixel arts inside our creative worlds, I guess it's time to show you a couple of tricks to help build your pixel arts in your survival worlds. So I guess the first and biggest thing that will help you build these is to actually have 2 Minecrafts open. With the new launcher that came out, you can now do this in well, you can always do it in Windows, but you can do it in Mac also. So you're already running Minecraft, and you can still like run another one. So if I go into this one, I can actually use this one to go into my, say, my survival world, And then I can have both of them open and I can go back and forth between the two. This one's actually creative mode, but you get the idea, right? So I'll quickly expand that one. This can like take up that half of the screen. This one can go this half of the screen. And now I can like go through and like, you know, count how many blocks I need and what types I need as I fly around. And this one is obviously like survival, so you can just run around, get the blocks that you need, and then place them where you need to go. So it's a really quick way to just go back and forth between your creative world and your survival world to place the blocks and know where they need to go. This is a good example, like I said at the beginning of this video, where you don't have to use this specific type of block. So this is the, what is it, prize Miram blocks. And if we go back to that website that I originally gave you, if you remember that trick, you don't have to necessarily use Pyrite. You know, you have exceptions like a block of diamond or a beacon. Obviously, you don't want to use a block of diamond for your builds, and you know what the block is. Obviously, these are more ideal, but it doesn't necessarily mean, like, just because it's in here does not necessarily mean you have to use these types of blocks. So that's about all I want to show you. I guess one thing that you can do is if you have your mcedit open, I'm just going to quickly load it. One thing you can do is, I'm only going to do it to this last one. If you select, oops, come on, fly around. Now I have to wait for everything to load again. If you select all the blocks that are in here, you can click analyze and it'll give you a list of all the blocks that you need. So there's a ton of air, there's that many stone blocks, there's that many grass blocks, there's that many oak wood planks, and it gives you a really good list of all the blocks that you need. Now, all the diamond blocks, if you saw, all the diamond blocks were on the very top, because that's what he used to like reference the very beginning of the build, like the very top of the map. But it's really good for a quick analyze, and especially if you're, dang it, stop it. And if you're doing this in survival, like it's just a really good quick reference to know how many blocks you need of what different types. I guess the very last thing I should show you guys, and it can help you out, it may not matter to you guys, but if you have this thing selected, you can do this like right after you import it, because like it saves the area that you have, like the area you imported. But if you select it all and you decided like, oh, I don't want the pyrized, I don't want this type of material, I want diamond blocks instead. So you can go into fill and replace. So you type in the block that you want to change. There's the pyrized bricks. I believe that's a brick, right? Pyrized brick. And then you can replace it with something else like diamond blocks. Replace. And if you do a replace, all those pyrized things will now be turned into diamonds. This is nice because instead of having to remember like what blocks you're replacing, you can actually do it in the program. Yeah, it's just a little thing to like help you out. It's not anything like mind-blowing or super important, but if it helps, right? I guess that's all I really wanted to show you guys. If you guys have any problems, feel free to ask. I will, if there's any problems that come up and it seems like it's something that needs to be shared, I will put it in the description of the video in hopes that if other people come across with those problems, they can just check the description and be like, oh, somebody else had that problem. That's how you fix it. Cool, we're good to go. Thank you, Suits, for watching. Hopefully this has definitely been a video that's been a long time awaiting. But hopefully it is everything that you guys asked for, and hopefully you guys can go out there and build amazing stuff, just like I have been, but you're doing it in survival. Thank you, Suits, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I have making it for you guys. Bye.